Hey fellas, Nick here. Talk about the hydrogen bomb and you'll get $100. Okay. So World War II. Every war needs a weapon, and this sequel had everything of the explosive kind. It had bombs, it had missiles, and it pretty much stopped at nothing to make things that could wipe the entire planet clean of any living things. However, while Operation Blow Everyone Up with Atomic Fission Bombs was being worked on, physicists in the University of California met up in July of 1942 to discuss if hydrogen bombs were worth it or not. The whole purpose of the program was to see if they could make a bomb that could explode way harder and kill way faster too. But how can you make it explode harder? We'll get to it later. Basically, probably Oppenheimer said, "Okay guys, I'm thinking we can maybe do a hydrogen bomb ignited by a fission bomb." And then maybe Edward Teller said, "Well, our priority is the nuclear bomb right now, because you need a perfect nuclear bomb in order to create a perfect hydrogen bomb." And then definitely Oppenheimer said, "Shut up, loser, I'm the head of lab, and I'm gonna go research the hydrogen bomb myself." And so he did. Oppenheimer did research on the side from Operation Kill Everyone with Nukes, specifically on hydrogen bombs, and in February 1944 he concluded that figuring out how to make deuterium explode would take so long that it wouldn't be done in time for the war. But what's deuteruterum? We'll get to it later. Oppenheimer slowed down work on the hydrogen bomb, and then he made Edward Teller the leader of a hydrogen bomb research group. Once a week, Teller and Oppenheimer would meet up and talk for about an hour on the progress. So, bomb go boom? Bomb does go boom. Cool, see you next week. Once World War II became the early parts of the Cold War, Teller was still researching the bomb, and it equally was still not that important. But then, a third person entered the picture from a completely different country that was about to change things pretty badly. Hello, my name is Igor Kurchatov, and with the help of my Soviet spies, I have created the first Soviet atom bomb. Oh mon dieu. Yes, on August 29th, 1949, the Soviets detonated their own atomic bomb in a Kazakhstan test site, which just goes to show how nice the Soviets are to their other countries. This scared the US deeply, not only because it meant a country other than America was actually powerful, but because their bomb was a whopping 22 kilotons. When US President Harry Truman Googled how to sue Russia for theft, he found out nothing because Google didn't exist yet. It was 1949. He then made a public statement saying that he was going to speed up research on the hydrogen bomb. I will now begin speeding up production on the hydrogen bomb. But then, a fourth person entered the picture, named Stanislaw Ulam, and he found out that the design was terrible and wouldn't work and had to be scrapped. Ulam and Teller worked until 1951 to figure out a design that would actually work properly, using X-rays and staging to compress for faster and longer. Well, what's staging? I said, oh, that's it, I'm getting the hammer. After physicists found out that Ulam and Teller's design actually worked, better, the US did their first test on November 1st, 1952, codenamed Mike. The hydrogen bomb test was a whopping 10.4 megatons, or about 700 times the power of Hiroshima. For reference, that's like if you set off the bomb 699 times, and then set off the bomb once. The Soviets were yet again the losers until around 1955, when they made their own hydrogen bomb, meaning everyone was now on a level playing field to kill each other in the same kind of way. Instead, they used it to play the longest game of chicken ever done in existence and somehow get to call it a war. And with the history part out of the way, now we can talk about the chemistry part. Oh, I gotta stand up for this part. Nuclear fission works by taking something like this neutron and throwing it really hard at uranium. The resulting product, if the glass actually shattered for the example, should have been a bunch of smaller uranium alongside some neutrons. This cycle creates the nuclear fission that we're supposed to be looking for if the example actually worked. Nuclear fusion works in the opposite way. Two hydrogen isotopes create a helium and a neutron. The two hydrogen isotopes are deuterium, which is 1 proton and 1 neutron, and tritium, which is 1 proton and 2 neutrons. The staging I mentioned 238 words ago is because the hydrogen bomb is made in a primary and a secondary part. Kind of, but not really like a hot dog. The hydrogen bomb starts with a fission bomb. That fission bomb activates a bunch of gamma ray radiation that activates the secondary. The secondary is actually a lot like a hot dog because it's an interior part full of unnatural chemicals. The bomb's secondary part is made mostly of lithium deuteride, and this is where the cycle begins. As radiation hits the lithium deuteride, a bunch of tritium is made. This tritium bonds with the deuteride. Because it bonds with the deuteride, it makes a bunch of neutrons. Those neutrons are going to make tritium again. And because of this, the cycle repeats, and now you have a big bomb that's going to kill a bunch of people who are probably really innocent. Huh. The issue is that it needed to be really, really, really hot in order to sustain the radiation needed in order to detonate. This is only about 128 degrees Celsius, though. This is where Ulam and This is where Ulam and Teller's solution came into play, because they found a material that can absorb gamma radiation super well and pack it in really tight. And its name was styrofoam. But styrofoam? Huh. So it turns out that the key to solving the hydrogen bomb was actually styrofoam. That just amazes me. Using the power of what came packaged with my microwave, lithium deuteride gets squeezed really hard by compression forces that therefore make lots of neutrons, creating an even harder cycle of nuclear fusion. And that is everything you need to know about the H-bomb scientifically and historically. But what are some pros and cons of the tech? Pro: brinkmanship. Otherwise known as threatening massive fight if you don't have your way-ism, brinkmanship would not be nearly as powerful as it was during the Cold War if the hydrogen bomb wasn't also as powerful as it was. Con: it's a nuke! Even at the times when the people were just discussing the hydrogen bomb, everyone understood it was way too powerful to exist. Most were concerned that this massive amount of power is just going to be used as genocide against random civilians that really didn't have a part in it, but some, including Teller, really wanted to emphasize that it was for the security of the people, and that it was required for the Cold War to exist. That or Teller really likes killing innocent people. Pro: the work on hydrogen bombs was used for other forms of nuclear research. In the 50s, Eisenhower made the Atoms for Peace program. It was a way of repurposing all of that nuclear research that was done during World War II. Countries like Britain and Russia also joined in, meaning that the now incredibly super deadly radioactive mess that was nuclear warfare could be repurposed into nuclear reactors. The knowledge has left a lasting impact because the US now has 93 nuclear reactors running at this very moment, which is great news to hear as long as you don't have anxiety about Chernobyl, or 3 Mile Island, or Church Rock, or Fukushima. Con: the human cost. Did you know this nuclear researcher called Alex Wellerstein made this thing called Nuke Map? It's a great way to visualize and simulate what it would look like if a bunch of atomic bombs actually went off right now. If the Mike bomb from 1952 blew up right now in Moscow, it would kill 2.8 million people and injure another 3.7 million. It doesn't even take into account what the radiation around it would do. 150,000 square kilometers were affected with at least some radiation, and 10,000 square kilometers had the most severe radiation. That radiation is so harsh, its edges can touch the capital of Ukraine. Pro: individuality. The Atomic Energy Act of 1946 is boring, but one of the really cool things about it is that the main purpose of it was to have private research and development. In other words, they were nicely kicking Britain and Canada off of their nuclear research plan. Because of this, countries got self-reliant and they now have a sense of individuality now that they don't have to rely on other people's power just to keep them safe. Con: money. The US has this website where they show off all of their projections for government spending, and they have a section for nuclear research. This table says that the total estimate for the next 10 years in nuclear spending overall is a disgustingly massive $756 billion. For a country that's only used nuclear bombs 2 times in its entire history, this seems like pretty reckless spending to me. If anything, the whole H-bomb just seems so reckless to me in general. Because if you didn't get that point, by the way, I don't like the hydrogen bomb. Overall, this just shows that if nuclear warfare actually happens, it would be very bleak, kill a lot of civilians, and just not be that fun in general. While I talk about the hydrogen bomb, I don't know how I'm gonna get my $100 now. Well, I stand corrected. I am now $100 rich.
What an idiot.